Starting over at the state capitol.
We hold a lot more bullets in our belt that will be ready to use if we need to.
Lawmakers launch a new special session as Democrats head back to the House.
I think Democrats are going to get a win, our first win in a long time.
We look at what's changed and what's next in the fight over drawing new voting lines in Texas. With legislation stalled at the Capitol, Texas flood victims work to move forward.
I got way more going on than to sit and watch the news and be mad at Democrats or be mad at Republicans or whatever.
The challenge is ahead, and who's already stepping up to help people rebuild and recover. The visa process creates new obstacles for international students hoping to study in the United States, why the issues could keep some students out of the country.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Work has started on the second special session at the Texas Capitol. Governor Greg Abbott called on lawmakers to take action on 19 items, including flood-related bills, property tax cuts, as well as restrictions on THC and abortion. And the plan causing the most division is back on the agenda, redistricting. Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim shows us what's at stake.
Do not go very far.
The first special session of the 89th legislature will go in the books with nothing to show for it. The packed 18-item agenda had relief for victims of the Hill Country floods. Wes Friedel represents those victims.
It's incredibly disappointing. We have people that need resources right now. We have some funding in some of those bills that I think would be critical.
Governor Greg Abbott quickly called a second special session with the same agenda, but with one additional item: enhancing youth camp safety. More than 190 bills have already been filed in the Texas House. Democratic State Representative Ann Johnson is returning to Texas. We spoke to one of her caucus colleagues on Thursday.
All of us were able to stay together and see the end of this first session come to an end. We did exactly what we said we needed to do, and that is bringing a spotlight on this issue.
California lawmakers will release its proposal for redistricting on Monday. California Governor Gavin Newsom said it will stop its gerrymandering effort if Republican states do too.
We're not waiting and we're not anticipating that these states will be passive, particularly with the directive coming from President Donald Trump.
But Governor Abbott is not backing down.
He's all talk and no action.
A new redistricting map is already filed. It's the same as the original proposal that will give Republicans an edge to pick up 5 seats with a slight tweak in West Texas. But Governor Abbott hinted in a news conference Friday he may add state house redistricting to the call as well.
We hold a lot more bullets in our belt that will be ready to use if we need to.
In Austin, I'm Dylan McKim.
Thanks, Dylan. Houston Democrat Gene Wu leads the House Democratic Caucus. The representative spoke with Capitol correspondent Adam Schwager. He talked about the decision to return to Texas and what lies ahead in the fight over redistricting.
What have the conversations in the caucus been like in terms of trying to figure out what the next steps will be if you guys would return at all?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we have members who are like, let's keep going into infinity. They want to fight everyone and everything. I mean, they're so jazzed. Everyone's really, really pumped up about what's going on right now, because for the first time, I think Democrats are going to get a win, our first win in a long time, right? And especially for Texas, where we've been sitting there being kicked in the teeth while we're trying to save Texans, session after session. This is ecstatic for many people. And not only that, but we are seeing that Democrats are making a difference across the country. I mean, how many people get to say that? And people are like, we've done this in 2 weeks. Let's go do more, right? But at the same time, we came out of a bruising regular session. And people are tired. People are exhausted. Staff has been running, just doing like 16, 18-hour days for 2-3 months now. And we're human beings. We have a physical limit.
You have now Governor Newsom making this push in California. There have now been talks, Governor Abbott talking about trying to up the map in Texas from 5-seat flips to 8-seat flips. I believe Ted Cruz tweeted out this morning that he wants to see the entire map be red, no Democratic seats coming out of it.
Do it. Please. I'm begging you, please do it. In politics, we call that dummy mandering. where you get so greedy for power and you draw the line so thin that it's not that hard for your opponents to overcome you, especially on a wave year, right? If they really wanted to do something that incredibly politically stupid, I, I don't think I want to stop them. Because if they want to draw all their Republican colleagues into purple districts, Democrats are ready to come take those districts, right? Because the people of the state of Texas are rising up. The people of America are rising up because everybody has had enough.
You know, there's Republican colleagues on the further right side. For example, I talked to State Representative Harrison the other day, calling for any bill that's authored by a Democrat to get automatically dead on arrival, talking to strip you guys from your vice chairmanships. Is there any worry about the long-term ramifications for the bipartisanship of the House?
Look, I mean, when you come and attack our communities, when you seek to destroy what we have spent decades building up, when you take away protections for hardworking Texans, there's no bipartisanship involved in that. We're not friends with people who ignore the people of the state of Texas, who leave working class people in the dirt so they can go and bow and bend the knee to their DC masters and to their billionaire donors. Those are not our friends, and they never have been.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think this is an amazing moment in our American history. I think this is the end of the first chapter, but is the beginning of an incredible story of how America came back. That American people said, enough. We are taking our country back, and it started in Texas.
While Representative Wu envisions a win for Democrats, House Speaker Dustin Burrows outlined his vision for a wave of Republican priorities to pass.
By following Governor Newsom's lead, instead of the will of Texans, they have allowed us to reset the clock. When the new session begins, we will be able to move immediately to pass a strong pro-life bill to protect women's spaces and more property tax protections, without the threat of procedural gamesmanship getting in the way. That's a win for the unborn, women, in all of Texas.
Burrows did say that House Bill 1 would be focused on addressing camp safety, a response to the deadly July floods. He called for finishing work before the Labor Day weekend.
It would be nice for our government to want to help, but we're going to try to make sure they're taken care of regardless.
Community groups step up to help Texas flood victims as flood legislation stalls at the state capitol. The challenges for those facing recovery and the response providing relief. A new effort to address a devastating pest, what the governor and the feds are doing to help the state fight back and protect Texas livestock.
This is an issue that is essential to the cattle industry, to food supply, which are at risk.
A new effort to save livestock and deer. Friday, Governor Greg Abbott, alongside U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, announced new plans to stop the spread of New World screwworms. The species of fly, once nearly eradicated in the U.S., is seeing a comeback in Central America. Our senior science reporter Eric Henriksen takes a closer look at the plan and how these tiny creatures could cost the state billions.
My grandmother was a dental assistant in Florida, and she told me once about them finding a screwworm infection in the mouth of a patient that came into the dentist's office.
Larry Gilbert lived in Texas in the 1940s.
The screwworm was a really big problem on cattle and wildlife like deer.
Today, the UT Austin biology professor and faculty director at the Brackenridge Field Lab looks at the tiny creatures.
This box is species in the same genus of the screwworm fly.
In the 1960s, screwworms, a type of fly, were mostly eradicated from the U.S.
They irradiate the flies and sterilize the males.
The species, which screws into open wounds and can even kill its hosts, was pushed further south into Central America. But in recent years, they've returned, creeping into Mexico just a few hundred miles from the Texas border.
This can result in billions of dollars of losses a year.
In June, Governor Greg Abbott announced a new response team designed to prevent the spread of screwworms. Friday, the governor joined U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins, announcing a plan to prevent screwworms from spreading north and killing off cattle and deer.
Today, we are announcing USDA will invest and build a domestic sterile fly production facility in Edinburgh, Texas.
The facility will breed 300 million sterile flies a week. The Trump administration will also invest in new tech to fight the screwworms, as well as work with Mexico to track the species.
We've got a lot of data to collect, we've got a lot of work to do, but we have to protect our cattle industry and our beef industry in this country.
Professor Gilbert worries less about cattle and more about deer.
The deer herds would be very vulnerable to this, and you don't go around treating wounds on deer. It's hard to find them.
Eric Hendrickson, State of Texas.
It's becoming much more difficult to get visas to the United States.
A Texas couple faces obstacles as they try to help a young man get his student visa after he showed an act of kindness. It's part of a larger problem facing foreign students seeking to continue their education in the U.S.
We don't have the money to just rebuild, go buy a house, go rent somewhere.
Texas flood victims look for help with legislation stalled at the Capitol. We look at the challenges facing survivors and where they're finding relief. People from other countries trying to enter the United States are facing major challenges with the visa application process. Austin area Congressman Lloyd Doggett tells us his office alone has worked to help constituents with 124 different visa cases since January, 40 of which are still pending. Some of the cases involve student visas and families abstaining visitor visa interviews at embassies to return to the U.S.
And what we found in the last few months is that when we call federal agencies, the phone rings and rings and no one answers. The folks that process immigration matters have never been all that responsive, but it has hit a new low.
We reached out to the State Department. They sent us a statement saying, in every case, we will take the time necessary to ensure an applicant does not pose a risk to the safety and security of the United States, and that he or she has credibly established his or her eligibility for the visa sought, including that the applicant intends to engage in activities consistent with the terms of admission. The concerns from Doggett come as universities across Texas wait to see what impact new visa policies might have on their international student enrollment. Investigator Kelly Wiley talks to one couple who's been struggling for years to get a visa for a young man they hoped to support through his studies in America.
For years, Dan Weber and his husband say they've tried to bring their guardian angel to the United States.
We actually built our little casita out here, our little guest house for him, and it literally is named La Casa de Angelito.
And according to the couple, for years, the 25-year-old Mexican citizen Angel has been denied a student visa, despite first being accepted into the University of Texas at Austin's English Language Center in 2022.
This recent spring was the fourth time we have tried.
It's the fourth time?
Fourth time.
The couple said it has advocated for Angel ever since he came to the U.S. in 2021 on humanitarian parole, for the sole purpose of seeing if he could be a living donor for Dan, who is experiencing kidney failure. Angel turned out not to be a match.
We looked at it as kind of, this is a chance for us to do something really nice for somebody who's done something great for us. We're next to one of the best universities in the United States. He wants to be a commercial pilot. UT has a wonderful English as a second language program in which you need to become one.
Angel's most recent attempt to secure a visa came at the start of the second Trump administration.
They finished the interview, disappeared for like 6 minutes, and came back and said no.
Since then, court records show the federal government abruptly terminated approximately 4,700 foreign students from the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, or SEVIS, a database that tracks the minute-to-minute status of foreign students and workers in the U.S. In May, the federal government temporarily stopped scheduling new student visa appointments while developing a new screening tool that looks at social media activity. Even now, the State Department has announced that it suspended issuing visas to citizens of 19 countries. A State Department spokesperson told KXAN consulates constantly adjust their schedules to allow for sufficient time to fully vet the cases before them, adding that the Trump administration is protecting the nation by upholding the highest standards of national security and public safety through the visa process.
They have about 2 minutes per case to make a decision about these visas, so it's a very high volume decision fatigue.
Matt Hughes is a former state consular officer. His legal practice, Border Call, represented Angel in his most recent attempt to come to the U.S.
Some of this has happened all along, some of the things that we're seeing in the immigration system, but that there is a new flavor to it. It's becoming much more difficult to get visas to the United States, to travel to the United States, and I think that there's a lot of concern among people who are working for the government that they will be in a difficult spot if they approve visas.
University of Texas at Austin officials say they still don't have a clear picture of the impact, if any, that new federal visa policies and the SEVIS terminations last spring might have on its international student population. They won't release international enrollment figures until the census date on the 12th class day.
We keep it here as both a sign that you always have a home.
After years of trying to bring Angel to the States for his education, Dan and his husband are now trying to figure out how to help him in a different way.
We're taking a lesson from him. He has never been, oh, woe is me. He's always been, this is what I have, let me make the best of it. So we're saying, you know what, maybe the best of it for you isn't meant to be in the United States.
Kelly Wiley, State of Texas.
Our team obtained data showing that from January to the end of July, the university issued more than 1,200 I-20 forms to prospective international students. Visa applicants use the form to demonstrate they are authorized to study at a specific institution. That number is down nearly 8% from the same period last year. But according to UT Austin's Texas Global, even if the university issues fewer I-20s in 1 year compared to the previous year, the number of international students who ultimately enroll may remain constant.
All the stuff that we've built together just gone.
Texas flood victims looking for help. With legislation stalled at the Capitol, we look at who's stepping up as people work to rebuild and recover. Before the end of the first special session, Texas senators passed a slate of bills in response to the floods that killed more than 100 people. The measures would mandate warning sirens in flood-prone areas, camps in floodplains to activate evacuation plans when there's a flash flood warning, and require local governments to conduct annual emergency plan drills. The state plans to set aside $200 million for relief and recovery efforts and more than $20 million for new weather forecast systems. But those plans can't move forward until the stalemate ends at the Capitol. And while Republicans and Democrats point fingers at each other, residents in Kerr County try to rebuild. Correspondent Dylan McKim shares the story of one couple trying to stay afloat.
3 inches of mud and everything.
Nathan Rich rents this shop for his diesel repair business. On July 4th, the Guadalupe River came pouring in, damaging electrical equipment and rusting his tools. A month later, his business is somewhat back to normal, but the house he rents next door is completely gutted.
It's hard to shell out $100,000 to rebuild a house.
Rich received $30,000 in grants for his business, but grants for his home and personal belongings are limited.
All the stuff that we've built together just gone.
This is his wife, Audrey. She works across the street at the local bank. It happens to be the location where residents in Center Point, Texas can pick up applications for financial relief. That money is being distributed by the Center Point Alliance for Progress, which has about $270,000 to hand out.
We have a committee that actually went to their houses to verify that they did have damage.
So far, it's helped 58 families with $2,500 checks.
Paid rent.
That's it.
Yeah, we paid our shop rent.
But that money doesn't go far.
We don't have the money to just rebuild, go buy a house, go rent somewhere.
Local groups like the Alliance are having to step up because relief efforts at the state capitol are stalled as politicians duel over redistricting.
It would be nice for our government to want to help, but we're going to try to make sure they're taken care of regardless.
Both political parties are pointing fingers over who to blame in the delay in funding. But people like Rich are choosing not to wait around for Austin politicians.
I got way more going on than to sit and watch the news and be mad at Democrats or be mad at Republicans or whatever.
They continue rebuilding little by little with a simple motto.
One day at a time.
In Kerr County, I'm Dylan McKim.
The Community Foundation of the Hill Country money is being distributed to first responders, businesses, and to groups that are helping people like the Rich family. Last month, country music star George Strait headlined a benefit concert that raised more than $6 million for people affected by the flood. Last week, Strait's Vaqueros Del Mar nonprofit started distributing some of those funds with the help from Governor Abbott. The governor presented $25,000 checks to more than 60 families. The nonprofit plans to distribute more funds to Hill Country victims in the future. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.